I asked my wife, "Who's Dr. L saved in your phone?" She froze. Not the kind of freeze when you're trying to remember something. The kind of freeze when you've been caught. And in that moment, I realized that everything I thought I knew about my marriage was a lie. But before we dive into this story that changed everything, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Let me take you back to the beginning. My name is Mark, and I thought I had the perfect marriage. Sarah and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. We had our dream house, good jobs, and what I believed was unshakable trust between us. Sarah worked as a marketing coordinator for a tech company. She was always busy, always connected, always getting calls and texts, but that was normal for her job, or so I thought. I worked in construction, so I was usually home by 6 o'clock, while Sarah often worked late into the evening. Our routine was comfortable, maybe too comfortable. We'd have dinner, watch Netflix, go to bed. Weekends were for errands, seeing friends, the usual married couple stuff. Nothing seemed wrong. Nothing seemed different. But looking back now, I realized the signs were there. I just wasn't looking for them. It started 3 months ago on a Tuesday evening. Sarah was in the shower and her phone was buzzing on the kitchen counter. Usually, I wouldn't even glance at it, but it kept buzzing over and over. When I walked over, I saw the notification preview. "Dr. L can't wait to see you tomorrow." My first thought was innocent enough. Maybe she had a doctor's appointment she forgot to mention. But something nagged at me. We shared everything about our schedules, and Sarah was meticulous about our shared calendar. When she came downstairs, hair still damp, I casually asked, "Hey, do you have a doctor's appointment tomorrow?" I saw a text from Dr. L. And that's when it happened. She froze. Her face went white. And for just a split second, I saw something I'd never seen in her eyes before. Panic. "Oh, that," she said, forcing a laugh that sounded wrong. "It's just a work thing. Dr. Larson from the Portland office. We're collaborating on a project." It was a reasonable explanation, but something about the way she said it, the way she couldn't quite meet my eyes, made my stomach drop. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there listening to her breathe, watching the ceiling, and for the first time in our marriage, I felt like I was lying next to a stranger. I told myself I was being paranoid, but the doubt had planted itself, and it grew every day. I started noticing things I'd dismissed before. Sarah was suddenly very protective of her phone. She'd take it with her to the bathroom, charge it on her side of the bed instead of the kitchen like she used to. She started working late more often, sometimes not coming home until after nightfall. But the biggest change, she was different with me. More attentive, actually. She'd bring me coffee in the morning, suggest date nights, buy me little gifts. If I didn't know better, I'd say she was trying to compensate for something. 2 weeks after the Dr. L text, I made a decision that felt like crossing a line I could never uncross. I hired a private investigator. His name was Jim, a former cop with tired eyes and a sympathetic manner. I felt sick even walking into his office, but I had to know. The not knowing was eating me alive. "Most of the time, people's instincts are right," Jim told me. "But sometimes there's an innocent explanation. Either way, you deserve to know the truth." He was efficient. Within a week, he had answers. Jim called me on a Friday afternoon. I was on a job site installing kitchen cabinets when my phone rang. "Mark, we need to talk. Can you meet me at the office?" I left work early, my hands shaking as I drove across town. Jim's expression told me everything before he even opened the folder. "Dr. L isn't a colleague," he said quietly. "His name is David Lawson. He's a pediatric surgeon at Portland General. Divorced, 2 kids, and he's been seeing your wife for 4 months." The photos were devastating. Sarah and David at a restaurant I'd never been to. Sarah and David walking hand in hand through a park. Sarah and David kissing in the parking lot of a hotel. But the worst photo was the last one. Sarah laughing at something David was saying, looking happier than I'd seen her in years. That's what broke me. Not the deception, not the betrayal. It was seeing her genuinely happy with someone else. "There's more," Jim said. "She's been using a company credit card for their dates. Expensive dinners, weekend trips. If this goes to court, I stopped him. I didn't want to think about lawyers and divorce proceedings. I just wanted to understand why. That evening, Sarah came home at her usual time, around 8:30. She kissed my cheek like always, asked about my day like always. The normalcy of it felt surreal. How was work? I asked, setting down the folder Jim had given me. Busy, she said, opening the fridge. Long meeting with the Portland team, with Dr. Larson. She paused, her back still to me. I opened the folder and spread the photos across the kitchen table. The sound of them hitting the wood was like gunshots in the silence. Sarah turned around and saw them. Her face crumpled, and for a moment, she looked like she might collapse. Mark, she whispered. For months, I said. My voice sounded strangely calm. For months you've been lying to me every single day. She sat down heavily across from me, staring at the photos. Tears started falling, but I felt nothing. The crying, the apologies, the explanations that came next. None of it penetrated the numbness that had settled over me. I never meant for it to happen, she said. It started as friendship and then you fell in love with him. She looked up at me, surprised by my directness. After a long moment, she nodded. The conversation lasted until 3 a.m. Sarah told me everything. How she'd met David at a medical conference her company was coordinating. How they'd started texting about work, then about everything else. How the loneliness she didn't even know she felt suddenly had a name and a face. I love you, Mark, she said as dawn was breaking. But I'm not in love with you anymore. And I don't think you're in love with me either. She was right. As much as it hurt to admit, she was right. Somewhere along the way, we'd become roommates who shared a mortgage. Comfortable, familiar roommates, but that's all. The divorce was amicable. Sarah moved out the following month. She and David are still together. And from what I hear through mutual friends, they're engaged. As for me, I'm doing better than I expected. The house is quiet, but it's my quiet now. I've started dating again. Nothing serious, but I'm open to possibilities in a way I hadn't been in years. Looking back, I'm grateful for that text from Dr. L. Not because I enjoyed discovering my wife's affair, but because it forced us both to confront a truth we'd been avoiding. We'd grown apart, and neither of us had been brave enough to admit it. Sometimes betrayal isn't about malice. Sometimes it's about two people who forgot how to be honest with each other and with themselves. If this story resonated with you, or if you've faced similar challenges, drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that explore the complexity of human relationships. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's always better than living a lie.